welcome to this week's edition of The Magnate. Remember that we started a conversation last week and we intend to continue with it. From the conversation so far, from the knowledge that has been shared, you agree with me that the guest we featured last week qualified more or less to be a colleague or a senior, very senior colleague in the broadcast industry. We still have Mrs. Toki Magnate, the president. Very proud to say that president of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Let's give you this short break. We'll be back to continue with the conversation.
Toki Magnate is a business consultant interested in the growth and management of small and medium enterprises on the African continent. Toki Magnate has a degree in law from the University of Ife, Nigeria, a postgraduate law degree in international business law from the University of Exeter, England, executive management training in strategic organization and management from Stanford University Graduate School of Business, California, United States of America. Training in SME policy design and project implementation from the ILO Training Center in Turin, Italy. Value chain development training from MDF in the Netherlands. Enterprise development through value chains and business service markets from the ILO International Training Center, Turin, Italy. And several other workshops and seminars, all related to the growth and development of SMEs. Over the last 36 years, Toki has been involved in commercial and business enterprise from both a public and private sector perspective. As assistant legal advisor to the Ministry of Defense and later senior state counsel in the Mercantile and Industrial Law Department of the Federal Ministry of Justice, Nigeria. Toki was involved in public sector policy formulation, regulation and monitoring of commerce and industry nationwide. Toki provided legal advice to the federal government in its cross-border business negotiations with other governments and commercial enterprise worldwide. Toki moved from the public to the private sector. This provided her the opportunity to attain a well-rounded perspective of business enterprise in Nigerian, African and global business environment. She worked as a company secretary, group head legal and corporate affairs for a startup broadcast enterprise, which grew into a global business concern known as Minaj Media Group. Her management expertise and skills earned her the position of president of Minaj Incorporations. Toki is active in business organizations at the organized private sector in Nigeria. She registered her firm as a member of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry when she began business operation in the year 2000. Toki continued to serve the chamber to the best of her abilities. Beyond the chamber, Toki has consulted for various international development organizations, too numerous to mention. She is a former Vice President Southwest and Council member, Nigerian Association for Small and Medium Enterprises, NSAME, a former Council member of Business Club Ikeja, the Chairman Shelter Origins, a housing NGO, board member African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum, boards, amongst others. In her spare time, she expresses her creativity by writing poetry. Toki has great passion for impacting positively on the society and communities she serves. In recognition of her contributions, various associations have bestowed Toki with various awards, too numerous to count. With her prowess in all the positions she has occupied and having worked in various capacities in the chamber, including vice president, deputy president, she was installed as the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the third female to occupy that position till date, in a colorful ceremony in January 2020. She is married to an electronic engineer, Mr. Seun Magnate, and they have 2 grown sons.
You're welcome back. The program is still The Magnate, and it's my pleasure again to welcome back to The Magnate Mrs. Toki Magnate. You're welcome to The Magnate.
Thank you so much for the invitation again.
Thank you for the session we had the last time. Now, you know, the last time you alluded to the fact that government policies, you had to wade in and all that. How do you think these various policies and even the political terrain affects the activities of the club?
Well, the only way to surmount the issue of reviewing policy, reforming policy, or even engendering new policy to be made is through advocacy. And advocacy is our biggest mandate. So we do several things. We engage with the legislative houses of assembly. So whether it's the Lagos State House of Assembly or it's the National Assembly, we do that through position papers, through visits to those institutions. We go with the mandate of our members. Because our members are practitioners, they are running their business, they know where the shoe pinches. So at our council meetings, the chairmen of the various groups will bring out all their various problems. Those who are in forwarding business or logistic business, talking about Apapa Port problem, those who are importers talking about foreign exchange problem. So we take all these things there. The other thing we do is we also engage with the executive. We engage with the executive through the supervising ministries. So with Lagos State is the Ministry of Commerce and Cooperatives. With Federal it is the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And as an advocacy body, we need to manage our relationship very well. We need to have constant communication. So how do you have constant communication? You nurture the relationship by it's not always that you continue to go to them with problems. They also have very valuable information that they can give you. They can even share with you their plans for the future. So you invite them here, and we have programs and we have interaction. We invite the various categories of our members that may have something to do with it. So one thing we did under lockdown, which was really very interesting, was that we've always had this presidential dialogue with the VP of the country. And when we were doing it physically, how many people can you carry to Abuja and put in the VP's office? So the numbers were always limited. I don't think we could ever be more than 20 really at any point in time. This time, for the first time, because it was virtual, we went with over 100 companies, and all of them feeling quite satisfied that they were able to voice their concerns to the person that matters. This week, on Monday, last Monday, we had the AFCFTA event where the minister had a representative there. The secretary of AFCFTA Secretariat took part virtually. Everybody was engaged in this discourse. Of course, we had it as a hybrid. So we had very few people in-house, physical, but most people were virtual. So this is how we engage. And then once you have engaged, there must be follow-up. So if they made promises and they will do this by this date, we must ensure that we follow up and that we show accountability to our members. This mandate you gave us, when we took up this issue, this is how far we have gone with it.
Okay, well, you have talked so much about the policies, how you interface more or less with the government to the benefits of your members. Let's look at, earlier on, when you were making your submission, you talked about palliative. That word came, is becoming a recurring decimal now for. How did you do that amongst your members? Because now you also painted a picture of somebody who virtually lost everything. Was the chamber able to give some palliative to members, or how did you fare in this regard?
Well, the chamber is an NGO. We don't make money. We're not in commercial business, so we actually don't have money. The way we fare is by giving good advice, by opening up opportunity for our members. In fact, the fact that people felt that we were very courageous to have held the trade fair at the time we did. And we continue to thank Lagos State government for even giving us the permission. But they had their health and safety agency supervise us very closely to ensure that we were following COVID-19 protocol. So I remember talking to a few of the SMEs that participated, and those ones said to me, one particular woman farmer said to me that she had made nothing the whole year, only to come to this December, and in 2 days out of 10, she had already made 3 million.
Wow.
I was so happy to hear that, because even the crowds coming were about 30% of the usual crowd. But everyone, plus the large companies who came, plus CBN who was there to create awareness, plus the banks that came to serve as a facilitator of payments, then the large companies that came. We have our usual large companies, the Dangotes and those kind of companies, manufacturers, all the way down to the small companies. And Lagos State, of course, brought their band of SMEs. They always have a stall for the SMEs. They were also have smiles. Or it was like, this is a wonderful Christmas present. So it's that way that we're able to help out. And then, of course, approaching the agencies and asking them to have more empathy. So, at the port, so many people had their goods stuck at the port, large bills and so on. Nigeria Port Authority was reviewing some of those huge bills that they had given to people, cut it down because they were looking at the fact that, there was all these challenges, hurdles in the way of these people. So that is what we do. And every time they have a huge challenge and an agency is involved, we go ahead of them to that agency to say, look, what can you do to make life easier for these people.
Interesting. It's good that you have talked about international trade fair. You actually took that out of me. It was preemptive because it came hugely criticized with the pandemic. And you still, even though you had shifted because of the NSAS, I mean, you shifted by a month, known for first week in November, before now you moved it to December. It came hugely criticized that with the pandemic, why should that hold? And you have even clarified it. And I'm not sure there was any resurgence of the COVID after the trade fair.
We kept all the COVID protocols. So the hybrid, first of all, on the grounds, the distances were observed, the safety officials were on ground, all the hand washing basins, and luckily for us, we even had a sponsor, sure, for the sanitizers. Sanitizers were everywhere. Masks. If you come to that place without a mask, you will leave with a mask, because we will give you we will give you free mask. Just please, just cover up, you know.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself. And then within the hall where we were having events, never more than 50 people at any point in time. So it went well. I must say it went well. And incidentally, you know, at that time, the governor himself had caught the disease. And he still let it go on. You know, he still supported us through the whole thing. And we were hugely blessed by that. And I think our members who participated also got the benefits.
Okay, the chamber is known for advocacy, just like you said, but particularly for PPP, that's public-private partnership. Yeah. How do you think that has really helped in the growth of business for your chamber?
PPP is very important, and even for the services we render, we collaborate a lot with government, so there are many of the programs our government has that when they even create their boards, and they're looking for stakeholders to be a part of the board, that we can help them with the planning and the design. They will invite the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry to be a part of it. An example of such is around consumer protection. You know, our people have to be protected against poorly produced goods and so on. So LASCOPA as an agency actually has a representative of Lagos Chamber, along with other OPS on that board. So the PPP collaboration is quite important.
We are still chatting with Mrs. Tokima Buguje, the president of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are still in the euphoria, like we started, celebrating womanhood, International Women's Day. And we actually hosted the immediate past chairman of Access Bank in a webinar. She tagged it Dare to Win. Let's give you excerpts of that webinar. We'll be back to continue this very, very interactive discussion with the president.
In the series of AIMS Media webinar, another was staged on Tuesday, the 16th of March 2021, to coincide with the global activities of the International Women's Day celebration. This time, AIMS Media partnered with Leapworld Group to host an erudite scholar at Amazon, an economist, banker of repute, with several feathers to her cap, or scarf as it were. Mrs. Mosubelo Olusoga, popularly called Auntie Mo, was hosted by the two organizations in a webinar that had participants drawn from home and in the diaspora.
Mrs. Mosubelo Olusoga, popularly known as Auntie Mo, is the lead consultant, chief executive officer of the KRC, Knowledge and Resource Center Limited. Mo holds a BSc degree in economics from the University of Ibadan, graduating with a second-class upper degree, and is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She began her career as a training accountant with the then Masters Coppers and Librand Chartered Accountants in 1980. She joined Guaranty Trust Bank PLC as a pioneer staff in 1990, where she gained robust experience, having headed the major core banking groups, including investments. Mo has a record of first: the first female executive director of Guaranty Trust Bank, the first female director of Access Bank, first female director of Premium Pension Limited, first African director, Global Alliance for Women in Banking, first female chairman of Access Bank, and first female pro-chancellor and chairman of council, Olabisi Onabanjo University.
The citation of the guests done, Auntie Mo made a PowerPoint presentation in a very colorful slides engine and buttressing on the theme, Dare to Win.
Be ready to face a ride. Your ride will be faced with different things. You will be faced with constant changes. You'll be faced with challenges. You'll be faced with barriers and issues. You'll have different experiences, and your experiences will be both positive and negative. And you'll also meet people along the way. The people you meet will be both good and bad. Once you know that there is change, you will learn to, next slide, you will learn to embrace change and not fear change. Because at times, God moves us from one position to the another. When we're too comfortable in our position, life happens. So learn to embrace change. And I'm also saying that life will present challenges. It's only a dead person that doesn't have challenges. Once you have challenges, it is a sign that you are still alive. Challenges make you more responsible. And always remember that life without struggle is a life without success. If you don't dare, you don't win. Life will introduce you to different people. And please understand that people are different. And we have to be respectful of people's opinions. I may not be agreeable to what you're saying, or I might not agree with what you're saying, but I have to learn to respectfully say, oh, I don't agree. These are my own viewpoints. The Chinese word crisis means two things. It means danger and opportunity. So life will always show you two sides to the same coin. So you have crisis. So yes, it can be danger, but in that danger, in that challenge, there will always be opportunities. Your attitude determines your altitude. But you have to have, that they know that if they come to Auntie Mo, she will not do this. Oh, if you go to her, she will do this. So people have to know you for who you are. And I'm saying, for your purpose, define you. Who are you? You have to define you. When you don't define you, other people will define you, and you might not like how they define you. And I'm very, very passionate about being authentic. I don't want to be a copy. I want to be an original. I might admire people, but I don't want to be them because I don't know their life story. I don't know what they're going through. So be authentic. Be your authentic self. I joke that there's only one Auntie Mo. Any other Auntie Mo is a counterfeit.
She said women are increasingly relevant to the business as markets. Operations and supply chains continue to expand in the developing world. In this environment, where gender inequity impacts business and society in the myriad ways, women's economic empowerment holds significant relevance for sustainable businesses. The well-articulated presentation elicited some comments from participants, which were duly responded to by the Amazon of our time. It also afforded several of the participants the opportunity to seek clarifications on the paper she presented and other business-related issues.
There's a false narrative that a woman cannot have it all. How can we fight against that without robbing people off wrongly?
Be very, very careful about the choice of your spouse. Marry the person that you are friends with. Marry somebody who will support you through thick or thin.
What advice do you have for men to support their women?
When you raise your daughters as well as you raise your men, you have more empathy.
From my experience, I want to encourage everyone who has gotten daughters to invest heavily in them. People do discriminate against women, their daughters, when it comes to education, when it comes to some other things to make them to be complete people or persons. I want to encourage us to make sure that we don't discriminate. Invest heavily in them, just like you will invest in the boys.
On behalf of Ames Media Company Limited and Leapword Group, we appreciate the participants and our guest speaker, Mrs. Mosun Bello Olusoga, for honoring us on the webinar series tagged Rising Against All Odds. Thank you.
Welcome back. The program is still The Magnate. We are on our last lap now. I still have the honor, the pleasure of having Mrs. Tokima Buguje, the President of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you once again.
Thank you
for being with us. Now, I want to go back to the government policies. A lot of the young SMEs, they always complain that there are a lot of double things and it's difficult for them to do business in Nigeria.
I think that even when we are thinking about SMEs, we're not thinking about youth enterprise. Youth enterprise is a different matter.
Oh, yes.
It's a category on its own. So I think we need to have an even stronger focus on youth enterprises, but also the regulation around small businesses because all of these youth businesses fall into small business. Apart from those of them where, despite the challenge, the technology, they've gone far. Paystack, Flutterwave. I mean, kudos to all of those young men and women who are doing these things. But we still do have those issues of double taxation, levies by local governments.
Thank you very much. Now, the next thing we want to clarify is you remember that the economy itself is described or used to be described as a mono economy, concentration on oil and gas alone. Now there has been some form of diversification. How do you counsel people to take on the non-oil profession or businesses to be able to thrive until such a time where we have a revamp in that sector?
No, you know that I've always heard this question, but it's a strange question. You know why? Because most of the people of Nigeria are in non-oil. How many people are in oil business? Only people who have money are in oil business now, you know. And the poor people of the Niger Delta, that they are shutting down every day because they are illegally refining petrol. So the rest of the country is in non-oil. So the key, government should carry its eyes and put on non-oil. That is the issue. Agric, without much support, all these years, has been contributing 30% to GDP. In fact, at the end of the day, when you look at GDP, all this oil and gas we're talking about is only 10% of GDP. But it is the one that brings foreign exchange. So two key issues. One, government should begin to look more at encouraging non-oil export. That's the key. Export. So we need to encourage our SMEs to export. Why are they not exporting? Too many roadblocks to export. So they are smuggling it out. Those who can take it out in their suitcases, in the boot of their car, and so on. So we need to open up the export area. The NEPC has a lot of work to do. We need to have our SMEs export. The SMEs, many of them want to export individually. They cannot meet any demand doing it that way. We need to aggregate. All of you doing tomato, come together. All of you doing onions. All of you doing weaving. All of you, you know?
Right. Now, you said it earlier too that the chamber is well known for advocacy. How do you intend to sustain this advocacy that a lot more people will benefit from all these things you're talking about, particularly those that will benefit the business owners?
Okay. Advocacy is in the DNA of chambers, so from day one. So they will always be advocates, you know, and it will always be sustained. The only thing that advocacy really needs is the passion and the interest of the people concerned. And with people concerned, shoe is pinching them. They want to be successful. They want to make profit. So it sort of drives itself. It's a never-ending cycle. What changes is the topic. What you're advocating today may not be what you're going to advocate in 5 years. But advocacy will certainly be sustained.
All right, now, final words. A lot of people have painted a very gloomy picture. Economy is down, as much as we said we are out of recession. And then there's so many things happening that will not really motivate one to even start a business or even continue with whatever dream you have. What's your counsel for us? You have talked about the youth earlier. Everybody needs counsel now to be able to continue with the drive and the passion, and then what will bring in something to sustain them.
So my counsel is, one, know whether or not you are actually a business person, because it's disastrous when somebody who's not cut out for business goes into business. They make a lot of terrible decisions along the way. So make up your mind what you are. If you're a business manager, then manage the business of an SME, you know, and manage it well. But if you're somebody going into business, one, remain focused. Two, know exactly what business you actually want to enter into. Be sure that it is something you have passion for. Why passion is always so important is because challenges will come and go in life. What keeps you going is your passion. Then four, associate with others like you. So join an association, join a chamber of commerce. Join people who, understanding what your challenges are, can help you to overcome it. Join people who, knowing what your objectives are, can help you to reach your goals. The other one is use a professional when you need one. Don't try to be the accountant if you cannot add 2 + 2 = 4. it's important to produce all of those documents and keep all of those processes. And I think finally, remember innovation, remember technology, remember creativity. And now COVID has said technology is so important. So do not have a business plan or a business that is not going to be driven by technology.
Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure to have hosted you on this program. We've had with us Mrs. Toki Mabuguje, the President of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the third to be occupying that position. I mean, the third female to occupy that position in the male-dominated space. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful being here.
Thank you. So that's how it's been, the Magnate for this week. The only way you can keep reaping the fruits of benefits from this program is to stay tuned to next edition, this same station, same time. So join us then. Bye for now.